Gear up, because this is the Fuel Your Marketing podcast, designed to accelerate sales and grow your business. Let's welcome your host, Arti Sharma.
Welcome to yet another episode of Fuel Your Marketing. I'm Arti Sharma, your host for today, and I have a very special guest with me today. This person does not need a whole lot of introduction, but I'll tell you that he's been amazing networker. He's been featured on Inc. magazine as the top 100 leadership speaker, and he's a 5 times TEDx speaker, a super daddy, speaker for 12 years, coach, author, an expert that I admire fully in connection and networking, personal brand and social media guru, if you will. He's also a founder of Discover Your Brand. You can find it at dypb.ca. He's a professor and executive educator instructor at the York and McMaster University here in Toronto. And those of you who are out of Toronto, I'm pretty sure that you know him already. But without any further ado, I want to bring to you Twitter marketing rockstar, LinkedIn guru, Bobby Omer. Bobby, welcome.
Thank you, Arti. Good to see you.
Thank you so much. I'm so thrilled to have you, and it's such an honor to be able to interview you on our emerging podcast. But I know that
myself, I'm delighted by the connection.
Oh, awesome. Thank you very much. Well, you know what? I have been following your journey on LinkedIn. We've been connected on LinkedIn, I would say, and friends on Facebook too, for a very long time now. And I always get inspired. I watch your daily videos. I perhaps may not kind of comment every time, only because, my LinkedIn is connected with my email, but I'm totally inspired by what the kind of content you've been able to produce and look at what you've done. The following you have on LinkedIn, amazing. I haven't seen such interaction and engagement on a personal LinkedIn profile with anybody else that I know, unless you are like a, celebrity where you have millions of people following you otherwise, but you've done it with your following and your tribe, and you're such an emerging and well-spoken speaker and a coach. So thank you very much again. My first question is to kind of, and I'm sure this is a question for many others who are listening today and who've known you for a while, as to your journey on LinkedIn. It's been so glorious. How have you used LinkedIn to grow your network? Could you briefly share with us?
Sure. I think that in the initial stages when LinkedIn first came out, I was one of the first million users to sign on. I think it was 2004. And right away, before that, all I had was an Excel sheet of all my contacts. So I started adding people there and was very aggressive. I was pretty aggressive on LinkedIn and Facebook because I saw them both as Facebook was a great way to keep access to all my personal connections, and LinkedIn was for all my professional connections. And there was overlap, but I definitely aggressively built them very, very fast. So it was a place for me to build that accessibility and then start putting together a strong profile and sharing content, things like that. And I did that on both platforms. Then I would say that I got to a certain point where things slowed down. I certainly had a LinkedIn content strategy, but I wasn't as super engaged as I say I was on Twitter. Twitter's where I had my most impact as an influencer because I have 450,000 followers. So that grew pretty quickly when I started my social media strategy in 2011. And so I would say that over in the mid period, like 2008 to 2013 or so, when I had launched my speaking business in 2007, I wasn't doing as much on LinkedIn as I would. The big shift for me, though, in LinkedIn, and in terms of business, but it's great, though, because you have a strong profile and people are more receptive to messages on LinkedIn than they would with a basic email or cold call. So I found that to be a really great tool. When I left the corporate world too, I also was able to build a huge number of corporate contacts that were gave me access to high level employees in big corporations. So that was a really good thing that I love LinkedIn for. And then I could tell you that it slowed down. I didn't use it very much. Most of my efforts and energy were on either email marketing, Facebook, or Twitter. But something changed last year. And I remember I had a coffee with a friend, and he said, and he's an influencer on LinkedIn too, and he said, "Bobby, it's changed." And I didn't understand why. And he said, well, the big thing was when Microsoft bought LinkedIn, they really made an effort to change the dynamics of how LinkedIn works, and it really pushed the idea of having more engagement on there. And I can tell you, a year ago, actually it's April now. A year ago in April,
Mm-hmm.
my social media time spent was pretty much 70% Facebook, 20% Twitter, and then 10% everything else, including LinkedIn, Instagram, Snapchat, all those other ones that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
And since that time has completely shifted, I now spend, I would say, actually it's changing a little bit now too, but right now it's about 50% of my time is on LinkedIn, and about 30% of my time is on Facebook, and about 10% on Twitter and 10% on Instagram. And it's changed. So LinkedIn is the primary source of all my social media engagement. It's also where I'm getting the most traction. So one of the things that happened was I started doing a daily post, a personal post, just giving a tip.
Mm-hmm.
And it was amazing how much traction I was getting. I was getting people commenting and liking and engaging and getting like thousands and thousands of views. It was actually quite insane. I couldn't get over it. And today my best post views hit 200,000 views, which is a lot.
Wow.
And then I started connecting with some really interesting influencers on LinkedIn who are doing similar stuff like I am. And then the other big shift was the launch of the native video. So what Microsoft has been doing is they're encouraging people to engage more. And by doing so, they're increasing the traction of engagement, which is great. But number two, they're implementing new things. Like now you can edit a comment. Now you can edit your invitation to something. Now you can add video. And then I started doing native videos in the fall of 2017, and I've been doing one almost daily now, and I haven't looked back. And it's been great because for me, daily videos are very easy for me versus doing the standard blog post.
Mm-hmm.
So that has gained a lot of traction, and now like videos have been great too. My best video had 90,000 views, but now typically videos will get between 2,000 to 5,000 views. And when you compare that to other platforms, nothing compares.
Wow.
Not at all.
So you've already given us, and at least for me, I've been making notes frantically, just as you know, such a tremendous journey, and I don't want me to interrupt, but I definitely want to stop you here, Bobby, because this is gold mine. In the end, what I'm hearing is that since Microsoft shifted things around, and you in 2010 started to actually 2010 you were spending less time, you said on LinkedIn, and now you shifted to last year 2017 fall you started doing daily videos, and video marketing on LinkedIn has completely shifted, and now you're interacting with influencers too. So I want to kind of wrap up to say how LinkedIn's changed the game plan for you in easy, effective content production, but also gaining you more visibility within the LinkedIn network with other influencers, and higher engagement. And I'm sure you've experienced, and tell me if I'm wrong, the quality of connections, the quality of engagement, and the quality of referrals that you've been able to gain is much higher than any other platform. Is that right?
Absolutely. And the other thing is when you get because people who have a serious, strong, put together LinkedIn profile, that tells you a lot about them. It tells you how professional and serious they are about the business and their hustle and what they're trying to do. And so, I get requests all the time for a call or a coffee or a meeting or whatever it is. And I simply go to their profile and see, and I also look at their engagement. And if they engage me and they have a great profile and they're doing some amazing things, I'll probably meet up with them. If they haven't, then I'm a busy guy, so we're all busy, so I can't do everything. So it's been, I would say that the quality of the connections has been tremendous. Like I can't even tell you, like the community that I have now there, and the people who engage in my content, and the people sending messages, and oh my gosh, I'm loving it. It's really, really great. And particularly because of the engagement piece. I mean, it's fine to have Facebook friends, it's fine to have Twitter followers, but if they don't engage, like the number one aspect of social media is engagement. For me, like social media networking sites is access, right? But then the second part is the engagement piece. And on LinkedIn, I'm getting engagement, which is amazing.
Right. And I find that, LinkedIn, as I mentioned to you earlier on before we got on the podcast, that it came to my rescue when I was starting out. I was a mommy and I didn't know where to network and where to sell. So I went back to my LinkedIn connections and I said, hey, listen, I'm starting this digital marketing services agency, and I would love to connect with you or your network. So refer me. And just a few short weeks into it, I received my largest client, who was a consumer, like a known consumer goods product company. And And I was like, whoa. And then when they sent me an invoice, they held my invoice and they said, oh, you don't have an HST number on your invoice and we need that. I'm like, what is an HST number? And you need an incorporation and whatnot. So I went into that whole learning curve. But LinkedIn did come to my rescue because I was just starting out. And, the power of the platform is huge. But along the way, because LinkedIn wasn't evolving as much and the pace that I wanted to evolve, just like you, I went back to Facebook and I did not, start leveraging LinkedIn as much. And you're right. When Microsoft took over, I am seeing a whole lot of shifts and a whole lot of platform evolution that's happening. And my intent alongside of you today would be to encourage business owners to come back to LinkedIn. If you've not been utilizing LinkedIn, you're missing out a whole lot. So you touched upon a whole lot of subjects here. And I want to kind of take one step at a time and dig deeper, if that's okay
Sure.
with you.
Yeah.
So in terms of your, engagement, you talked about you now do daily videos, and of course they're easier for you because we all have different personalities. Instead of writing, you just show up and you do a video. But your videos are very authentic. So I want to know how do our listeners and myself, how do we show up more authentically on social media and authenticity, and find that authenticity within ourselves and then bring it back to LinkedIn?
Well, I think the primary way to be authentic is just to be very true and honest. What you value, how you want to engage people you care about, and thinking about how you can authentically and really help people, how you can genuinely care about people. So whether you're talking about business or even talking about personal stuff, or even if you're talking vulnerable aspects, it's just about, sharing that in a way that you would just talk with someone that's your best friend. And that's typically how I would be authentic. I think about my best friend and how I'd want to help them be a better speaker, how I want them to invest in their personal brand, or how I want them to, engage LinkedIn. I would say the exact same things I am right now on this podcast as I would to them in person and on video. And I think that's the first thing. The second thing is, just providing tremendous value. Continue to always create tremendous value. You don't have to sell. And, there is a time to sell once in a while, and once in a while I do sell, but I don't very often. I mean, it's more about creating that tremendous value and helping your audience. And that goes back to the third thing, which is knowing who your audience is. Who are the people that you serve? Who's your target audience? And what are their needs? And if you have a genuine care to serve them and understand their needs, because again, I'm a big believer in servant leadership as well. So it's service. Leadership is service and influence. And so if you could think about how you can serve them, then you can create the best content, whether it's video or blog posts or any sort of engagement.
I totally agree. And you know what? You touched upon a great points here. I also see that vulnerability is huge. Being vulnerable, being showcasing that we're at the end of the day, behind that camera or behind that post or behind that content is a human, right? So humanizing your content and content for humans is very important. I see that you bring in your children once in a while on your video podcasts as well, and I love it. So that's being vulnerable. That's being authentic, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we all have a life outside of our workplace, and we want to showcase that. And I know that many people have different school of thought to say LinkedIn is for professional reasons. So you don't always have to be in a white collared suit, in order for you to show up. So what I'm hearing is that understanding your target audience, being of service, and being knowing what you want to serve with, is very, very important for you to start showing up on that front. So that's amazing. Now, when you do videos, I find that your videos are a lot more sophisticated than if I was to do videos, on LinkedIn. So any tips on videos? Because, it's a fearful space. Many people would not show up to do videos like you do, just because they don't know where to start. So I want to hear all about that.
Okay. Well, I mean, the best thing I can tell you about videos is that videos is like talking to someone at a networking event. So like people are afraid of videos, but like just imagine you're at a networking event live, and we're all professionals. We have to learn how to network and engage better. So video is just something that you have to adopt, because it's like going to networking events. You have to talk to people. You have to sell yourself. You have to engage. And video allows you to do that in the most effective way, far more than others. Now, so that's the first thing. So you imagine like somebody's asking you, hey, Bobby, what's your thoughts on your 3 biggest tips for networking? Okay. And right away, I record a video and answer that question. And that's how I set that up. Now, over the years, there's different types of videos too. Like there's different. So, for example, and some more stuff on videos. Like now we know that almost 80% of content consumed on social media is video. And why? Because according to Forrester's research, a 1-minute video, you know how to say a picture's worth 1,000 words?
Right.
A 1-minute video is worth 1.8 million words.
Wow.
So,
that's huge.
Yeah. Yeah, if you think about it, I mean, you're basically taking an image and you're basically doing it, every 16 milliseconds or whatever, and per minute. Like that's a lot versus just a picture.
True.
And that's powerful because they see your body language, they see your tone, they see the emotion, they see everything. And that to me is really, really powerful. And then when it comes to videos, there's different types. I do the 1-minute kind of short video tip. I'll do the 3 to 4 minute one where I dive into a certain topic a little bit longer, and then I do the longer ones that are like 6 to 10 minutes that really explore a topic or are more of a training type video. And those are the types I do. Now on LinkedIn, I typically do more of the short ones, but I've also done the odd longer ones once in a while. In terms of the setup, I think I've gone to a little bit of a groove now in terms of how I do my video. But basically, I think of my idea usually in the shower or when I'm just having breakfast with the kids. I'm pretty good at coming up with a topic. Now I have a lot of experience in this, so I get all my videos. I would say 98% of all my videos have been done in one take.
Amazing! So, wow. Okay.
And they've all been done without a script, so they're off the top of my head. Now I can do that because I'm an improviser. I can do it because I've been a professional speaker for 12 years, so I can do it. Other people may need to prepare, and that's fine. If you need time to prepare, great. If you want to put a couple of points down, jot them down, fine. Even a short video, just again, think of that question someone's asking you. And in my head, I think of the 3 things I want to talk about. I think of the 2 or 3 things that I want to get out there, and then I make the video and I do it. And usually for me, my setup is, it doesn't take long. I take my phone, I use an app called Clips or Clip-O-Matic that allows me to record subtitles. The limitation though is that it's portrait only and it's only 1 minute, which sucks. I'd much rather have if someone could create an app that allows me to do landscape videos and videos that are longer than 1 minute, that's a gold mine right there, man. Someone start a business and do that because you make a killing. Because I haven't seen.
You got to try Ripple. Maybe Ripple would be able to do it. My team uses it all the time, and I know that there is capability, so you might want to check that out.
Sure. Well, that's great. That's good to know. Yeah. So I set up my camera. I have a tripod, and then I have a standard place in which I do it in front of my bookshelf. So often people will comment, "Hey, that's Harry Potter." I'm like, "Yeah, Harry Potter. I love it." They love the Harry Potter books behind me.
It's good.
And then I try to make sure I do it during the day, so there's good lighting. So I open the curtains, I turn on lights. So you want to make sure proper lighting. You want to make sure that you're close enough to be seen, but also not so far away or too close to make it awkward. And then the tripod's good for steady camera usage and allows you to use your hands. And then what else do I do? The good background is important, right? To make sure it's a good background. And then I press record and I just do my thing. And then after I'm done, I have to spend some time manipulating the subtitles. Once I've done that takes probably about maybe 15 minutes. And then I'll post on LinkedIn. And typically what I'll do is here my whole video strategy. I'll tell you right now what it is. I post on LinkedIn, and also on LinkedIn for every video I post, I also have copy within the post itself.
Right.
So I'll almost say the exact same thing I said in the video, except I'll say it in a different way. Because not everyone's going to watch the video, so they'll read my post. And some people will not even read my post and they'll watch the video. So
yeah, different learning patterns.
And that's why subtitles are so important, because some people actually don't have time for sound at work or whatever they're doing, so they just watch the subtitles. So these are things that you have to consider. And then I put that together, and then I post it. And then I send a couple of messages to my friends to say, listen, I just posted, check it out. I'll post it on Twitter, things like that. And I try really hard to engage in the first hour, because the first hour of engagement is really important to get traction in the LinkedIn algorithm and in the feed. And then after that, the other thing I'll do is I'll then post the same video to my Facebook business page, and then I'll post maybe 2 per week on Instagram, just to give people a sense of the videos I make. I don't post so much on Instagram. I share the same video on Twitter, And then ultimately I saved the video to my YouTube channel, where that's my storage facility for all my videos I've done. And that's my process. And the process of putting the LinkedIn video out there, I would say from start to finish takes about, I would say, anywhere between 20 to 40 minutes.
Yeah, I was saying average about 30 minutes, because you spend 15 minutes and you kind of, are, but for an average person, if they could do an hour, and they don't have to pay us daily, maybe even if a week, you can carve out an hour to begin with. And as you get more comfortable with it, I think that's great. So what I took away from this, and I want to wrap it up because there's so many golden nuggets that you're giving away. I'm kind of frantically making notes that first and foremost, gotta listen, right? Listen to your audience as to what they need,
Right.
and then become the chief servant. Like, this is what my title is at work. So I say, become the chief servant to serve your tribe, right? Serve your audience with the most relevant contextual, intent-based content. And then you go back and kind of, do a fairly okay setup. Don't just be fearful of the setup. Just be more focused on the kind of content and relevancy, and how are you going to create that impact for your listeners or your audience, be it a blog post, be it a video. And I think that's the most important aspect, because you want to focus on, of course, the purpose, but the engagement piece of it. But also you want to make sure that, you have your audience taking away a whole lot, and then spreading and taking your content and making it more viral. Because I think there's a concept of other people's network as well, right? So other people's content and other people's connections, and how do you combine the two to get that impact, is what I find what your videos have been doing, and your message on LinkedIn has been doing. Because I'm sure, based on, if I'm posting on your LinkedIn network and kind of questioning it or commenting on it, my network is seeing that feed and saying, oh, who is Artie engaging so much with? And then boom, some of my network might want to connect with you as well. And now it's up to you to connect with them or not, depending upon their engagement level. So yeah, qualifying on that level is very important. So the aha moment for me here is that video is here to stay for long. And you know what? Funny enough, that I was in a group just before we were recording this podcast on Facebook, a Facebook group, and I did a Facebook Live on top 10 tips on search. And I said, video is the new content marketing. At the end of the day, 1.8 million words, and majority of people, like, imagine the consumption of video on a daily basis per minute. I mean, I have even forgotten how many millions of views happen in a minute. So there's a huge opportunity for all of us here. So Bobby, there are a lot of people who are new to the world of LinkedIn, right? They maybe have been on LinkedIn, they've had the profile, but they haven't embraced it. So let's go back to that audience and say, people don't know how to, maximize the power of LinkedIn. So what would you say, where should they start?
Good question. I think the first thing to start is to fix your profile. Make sure you have a good picture. Make sure there's a clear headline of who you are and what you do. Mm-hmm. Make sure you have a good summary in your bio. Mm-hmm. and a really nicely filled out list of your experience and stuff, as opposed to just, here's my job title and there's no information about what you do there. Mm-hmm. A full profile is actually really good. It also shows up better in searches. Like, if you want to be searched, it'll show up more if you actually have a more fuller profile. So those are things that's the first thing I would start. The second thing is then to think about, what is my overall personal brand thought leadership strategy that I want to do? Mm-hmm. Because that's going to determine what kind of content you create. It's going to determine what type of people you want to connect with and follow. It's going to determine what type of engagement you're going to create for yourself. And then I think, in terms of getting over the fear, the third thing to think about is just engaging in a smaller way. I don't think you should go crazy, but for someone who's really busy, and we're all busy, it's for someone who wants to do better, just get on there 10 minutes a day. And if that's too much for you, get on there. Pick 30 minutes on a Sunday with your mm-hmm. coffee, and get on there and check out some of your people and your connections, mm-hmm. and start commenting and engaging on what they're sharing. And just ask a question or share a comment, or just say, thank you for sharing that. That was great. Give some gratitude. Give some, share your own expertise, because ultimately, you're trying to build a thought leadership brand around yourself. So you have to start talking about those things and sharing your ideas. And so the easiest way to share ideas is to comment on other people's posts. So that, to me, is a really quick thing. The second, but if you want to go further, then I think you start creating your own content. So now maybe every Friday you just share something you learned that week, or a daily tip, or a weekly inspiration, or a quote, or something, just something that resonates with you. And again, by all means, don't just share the what, share the so what. Why is it important? Why is it relevant? Even if you share an article, I don't even share articles anymore on LinkedIn. But if you do, you should share why you're sharing it, why it's important to you, as opposed to just the link. So right now, LinkedIn is driving more traffic towards people who do text-based status updates and the native videos. So if you are not comfortable with video, first off, get comfortable or work with a coach like myself and help you get there. But secondly, start doing text-based posts. Share an idea. Spend 10 minutes and just share something you learned on Friday, like a gratitude post. You will start to get traction. That to me is something you should be doing. And then after that, I think, when you think about the people you want to connect with, start engaging in messages and start booking, the odd Skype call or the odd phone call, and just start talking to people that align with, your target audience or, potential clients or who you want to be. Don't sell. Just engage, just talk. Say, hey, how are you enjoying the LinkedIn thing? Or what do you think of their content? Or, hey, I love your content. Let's talk about networking. Let's talk about personal branding. Just having those conversations. I've had now at this point hundreds of conversations from amazing people on LinkedIn, and the selling piece maybe came in the third or fourth conversation. That's kind of that's a really great thing. And the other thing that's great is that it's not this super hustle or super aggressive thing. That when, let's say I do make the pitch or there's a sales thing there and it doesn't work out, we don't stop talking. We actually continue to talk. I really can't stand those people that, they engage like crazy, and as soon as you say no, there's no engagement whatsoever.
Yeah, that's
for me, you're building a relationship. That's what you're trying to do. So ultimately, you want to build a relationship and you want to create that content and give tremendous value. And if you're willing to invest more and more, like by all means, it's an amazing tool now for access creation, content creation, and building your own thought leadership brand.
And I think you've really kind of nailed it down again to say it's about, growing your network. I mean, I hate when I go to networking events when people start giving away your business cards. The same is true for LinkedIn and any kind of online channel and social platforms. When people just send you a message just to pitch without knowing who you are, what would you like, what your goals are. So I think... Yeah, because they're there just to sell. And that's what is not great, because LinkedIn at the end is a social selling platform, of course, and like any other social media channel. But at the end of the day, how do you create value first, then seek to get some more value for your business? I think that's what is a missing piece, and people don't understand that. I totally agree. It's about the touch point and the relationship building. So if you've had that touch point several times, then that's good timing to just take it to the next level and say, hey, how can I help you more? And by the way, I'm looking for this kind of connections. Do you have any in your network, right? I mean, you probably, when we go to networking event, we not necessarily do business with that person. We want to tap into their network. So I think if you start using LinkedIn and any of the social media for that reason, and first give out as to how can we serve you, then I think there is a larger level and deeper level of relationships that you can build, and you can maximize those in the long term, right? So it's a great point. Yes, I totally agree with you. Also, I have to make one more point. When we go to a sales, when we go to a sales stage, not everybody's going to buy from us, right? I mean, right. And if people, you made a good point. When people don't buy from me, it doesn't mean that I'm going to stop that relationship building or that conversation, because no doesn't mean not now, right? No means not now. I mean, sometimes I've heard of this phrase. I'm like, yeah. Doesn't mean a no. Maybe it's not now. They're not ready for it, and we need to kind of keep nurturing the relationship further for them to build more trust, and that's fine, because I want to work with people who trust me as well, right? I don't want to work with everybody. So I so totally agree with that. Now you talked about the process of gradually leading into LinkedIn, and such great nuggets of you don't have to get aggressive. But let's say, for example, there is a company, a CEO is not engaged on LinkedIn, right? I find that many companies, the employees may be on LinkedIn, but it's not leading from the leadership standpoint, right? Leaders are leading it. Do you see that often as well with companies?
It's a huge problem, man. It's a huge problem. That's the same thing on Twitter and Facebook.
Right.
And the data shows that, leaders who are engaging on these platforms are seen as more trustworthy, more accessible, and it speaks higher to the brand, whether it's B2C or B2B. So it's important for these leaders to get involved. And again, I get it, we're all busy, but it's not that difficult to get involved if you want to. A CEO could easily do a Twitter or Facebook Live for 5 minutes once a week. Just say, hey, ask me anything for 30 minutes. They can go on LinkedIn and just share their thought for the week, or share a video. Like it's not that hard, and you can put the time to do it. And I think that 1 hour of time per week will actually speak huge for your brand.
Yeah, and I think it starts from from the top as well, because when the energy from the top can lead into your team as well, and you can actually create more viral impact also, and more deeper level of branding and a higher level of branding. When imagine if you've got 50 employees, they're all on LinkedIn, they're talking about your brand, they're sharing your posts. Imagine the kind of network that you can tap into, and that's what I think the change and the shift happens. So for those leaders, because this podcast is for marketers, CEOs, and entrepreneurs all alike, what is that one thing that you would say that CEOs do this? Change your profile, or at least have a meeting? What would you say, Bobby? Where can they start?
I think the number one thing for these people to do is to just start posting or engaging. Even if your profile is not as good, I would start engaging by either sharing something, sharing an idea, sharing a post, sharing a video, but share something once a week.
Yeah, I agree.
What it is, but just start sharing something. By all means, work on your profile, work on engagement comments, but start sharing something. If you do that, trust me, that's going to be amazing for you.
Great point. Yeah, take action. I mean, action cures fear too, right? So, and I read it somewhere. One of my thought leaders that I follow said, initiation gets inspiration. So the point to initiate will inspire you to take more deeper level of action as well. So that's great. Now, I do know that LinkedIn has a capability to make notes. Does it still have the capability to make notes when you've had that conversation with somebody? You can go and make the notes on their profile.
Wow, I remember that. I haven't used it in a long time. Because they used to have tags and notes you can make. But I haven't actually used that in a very, very long time.
So something for our listeners to explore within their profile. When you connect with somebody, you actually, maybe, I'm not sure if they've changed it for now, but there is an opportunity for you to kind of tag that conversation. So if you're not using a CRM system, then there is an opportunity to use that as well. So something, we all can explore, and maybe, people can comment when we release this podcast to say, yeah, it's available or not available, whatever the case may be. But
sure, that'd be good to know.
Yeah. Now, I know that you kind of create content on the fly. Are there any content creation tips that you would do, how you've broken it down for those newbies who are starting out and don't have, have not kind of created a content calendar, but do you have any tips to say, is it like a theme-based content? What would you recommend? Is it just on the fly, or is it more,
No, it's partially planned too. I mean, yes, I think of things in the shower, what to speak about, but I also keep track of topics in a Word doc as well as on my phone and my notes page. And whenever I get inspiration, someone asks me a question, hey, that'd make a good blog post. In fact, the video I recorded just today on April 26th is all about looking for new ideas. Because I've done is I've created a little mini series. I did a 7-part series on side hustles. I did a 10-part series on personal brand journeys. I've done a speaker series. So I do different series, but also I have a list of things. I already have a list of ideas I'm going to be implementing too. So I have that. And then the other thing is, once you have that idea, then the other thing is to think, particularly for short videos, like 1 to 2 minutes, no more, what are the 2 or 3 things you really want to say? Like, what's the 2 or 3 things? And you kind of, and you basically plan that out. For those who need more planning, plan it out and say, well, here's the things I really want to talk about. Or the other thing is good to have just a short personal story that emphasizes the point.
Right.
And that's really all you need. It doesn't have to be super complicated. Okay? Keep it simple.
Yes.
If you want to do a longer training video, like my longer training video that I did on storytelling, my 5 tips on storytelling, that took a lot more preparation because it was 10 minutes long and I had all these different things to get into. That was longer. But doing the short ones are very easy. It's because you just have one main point, one main message, and then 2 or 3 aspects of that key point. So keep it really simple when you prepare it. And if you need more preparation, go for it. But the other thing I'll say too is, like, for those who need to prepare more, the best way to do it, honestly, is to spend an hour or two on just preparing. Like, prepare 5 different things you want to talk about, and then on another day for an hour, record the short 1 to 2 minute videos. It's way more efficient for your time than doing what I do, which is the daily thing right away.
Right. So kind of create batch content, and, and I think, and batch content is also because great. I mean, I recently, when I was running my boot camps, I did a batch content of video content for our email, for our Facebook or LinkedIn and whatnot, only because, there's one day where the lighting is there, and good lighting, and I'm in a moment to create video content, and I'm inspired to do so. So I just don't have to keep the setup changing again and again. I just do a batch content, and I know my message, and that is a theme to that message.
Yeah, and I can tell you also that, I work with another friend, Danny Gagnon, and she and I put together a bunch of videos, and it was amazing. Like, we just had we had so much fun. We actually made like 12 videos in like probably an hour, and we're posting weekly on LinkedIn every weekend. And I've already posted 2, but like, it's so easy to post these, and it's great. So that was a really efficient use of our time. We just riffed it off. It was amazing.
Right. And when you're inspired, I think the most amazing content comes out of you as well, when you're in that realm of creating content as well. So I think that's great. Now I know that you talked about listening to your audience, knowing who your tribe is, knowing what is your purpose and how you can impact other people's lives and, their businesses. Now, I know LinkedIn groups are a really good resource as well to kind of listen to what's being asked. Do you use LinkedIn groups at all, or any thoughts around that?
Well, I mean, over the years when I delivered social media expert keynotes, I'd always talk about the power of LinkedIn groups. So one of the things I said was, maximize your LinkedIn groups ability. You also have this really great tool where if you share a link to something, you can actually share with all the LinkedIn groups that you're part of at the same time in one big swoop, which is great. But the big challenge too is that LinkedIn groups also have really, really low engagement. And so, Facebook dominates that far better than LinkedIn. Facebook groups are far more engaging, which is sad because LinkedIn should have owned the business groups as a professional website, but Facebook has really owned the best business groups I'm part of are on Facebook. I totally there, and LinkedIn is falling behind. Now, I've also heard the grapevine though that Microsoft and LinkedIn are working towards creating more engagement aspects to the LinkedIn groups. But for now, I can only tell you, like, I'm part of 50 LinkedIn groups, and I even own one. I own a group for the Toronto LinkedIn Meetup group, and even there, like, there's no engagement. It's really sad, right? And so, but out of all the groups I'm part of, I would say 1 or 2 max are engaging on a daily or weekly level. So
I'll tell you something inside scoop here on Measure Marketing. As Measure Marketing as a company, we started a modern marketers hub. I spent a lot more time on the strategy, the logo, and a whole lot of things. And trust me, there's no engagement. So I had to kind of pull it out. And I totally agree. As I said, I was Facebooking live in a group on Facebook. I had a lot more engagement on my live video in Facebook group than I would ever have in my group in Modern Marketers Hub. And so we had to archive it. But there is a huge opportunity here for those who are kind of, strategizing at LinkedIn headquarters to create an opportunity for us as business owners to network more effectively within groups. And I think that's such a huge opportunity for them to work on. So hopefully when you find something, Bobby, please do let us know, because we would love to, as a company also, and as a network, I'm sure my network would like to know more about how do you rev it up and how do you maximize the power of groups. But until then, my take on groups is that go in the groups, listen to what people are asking, if at all they're asking anything, and then create and solve their problems, either within the group or take those ideas and put it on your content plan. Because
But if I may interrupt for a second,
sure.
If you're going to spend time engaging and answering questions and sharing your insights, you can get far more traction for your web brand awareness and your brand by doing it on people's status updates versus doing it on LinkedIn groups.
So okay, good point.
You have to be mindful of your time too, right? I'd rather have you engage. Like if Bill Gates does a post live, I'd rather engage there than go in a group that share an article about it.
Yeah, no, I agree. So there's definitely an opportunity, but for those starting out and those who have strapped with time, I think the opportunity is definitely going on your profile. So thank you for checking me on that one. Again, these were great tips, Bobby, and I think we're coming towards the end. But I want to leave you with one more, opportunity, and before we wrap this up, to say, what do you think? Where is LinkedIn headed? 2020.
Well, I'd say there's good news and bad news. So I think the good news is that they're trying to create far more engagement, and they're promoting the engagement, which is great. And it's becoming a platform for not just, professional discussions, but personal discussions about mental health and about family and about the things that, our financial situations, because again, they affect our professional lives every day. So that's a really, really good trend. So I think that, and they're getting a lot of traction, I think, and also combined with the fact that Facebook seems to be discouraging content engagement, particularly on a personal level. People are spending more time on LinkedIn now. So I think that's a great trend. So I think now's the time to invest in LinkedIn. But what I can also tell you is that I also know that other platforms, like when Facebook Live first came out, they were, I was getting way more traction on my videos because they're trying to promote it. And then afterwards, the traction was less. So instead of 2,000 views, and I get 200 views or 500 views. And right now on LinkedIn, I get 5,000 views on my video. I'm quite certain, unless of course my entire followership takes off, I'm going to get less engagement in several years. I boldly predict that in 2 to 5 years, LinkedIn's going to turn it down a big notch, the way Facebook did. Facebook took Facebook groups and turn them down to 8% engagement to 1 to 2% engagement, whatever percent engagement. You have to pay for ads to get people are part of your fan page, and that's a huge problem for a lot of people. But LinkedIn's a business, and I'm sure they're thinking it's a business, but I think that they're going to change it, and eventually it's going to cost some to get the engagement that we're having right now. So get involved now, but I think it's going to shift. So it's better to get involved now and build up a strong profile so that you're not, struggling to try to build that engagement in 3 years. Or
you spend a whole lot of money in the later years to gain that little piece of the pie, because every social channel is going to monetize it. So wow, this is from the trenches. Bold statements coming up from Bobby Umer. Yeah. So. And I totally agree. I mean, this is like a opportunity for many of us to monetize LinkedIn till the time it gets to that paid level, because LinkedIn ads still are kind of emerging, but they're not there yet. We've been playing around with it, but yeah, totally. Bobby, this is such a tremendous value podcast. I'm sure our listeners are going to take it away a whole lot. I'm going to be posting your social media channels here. I hope I have the permission so that people can connect with you on LinkedIn, Twitter, and follow you on Instagram and Facebook. And learn from you, And those of you who are listening, please do connect with Bobby. Bobby produces such amazing content, again, around marketing, networking, leadership, personal brand development. And you know what? Once in a while, when he brings in his kids, it's such a breath of fresh air to see a leader being vulnerable at the same time creating value. Because I know when you bring them on, you're actually still on the mark of creating a personal brand. You're talking about those ideas. It's just not about Harry Potter all the time. So this is great. I mean, I love it. Thank you so much for Bobby for taking the time to speak with our audience here. We are sure, and I'm sure, that people will be able to fuel their marketing with LinkedIn with all these golden nuggets.
I appreciate it, Arti. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to the Fuel Your Marketing podcast. For more episodes, visit www.fuelyourmarketing.ca.